Have you ever heard someone say that they were spiritual but not religious? Is this a phrase you've heard before? A couple of heads are nodding, okay. Maybe we're not awake yet, but that's all right. So it's a common thing. Very often people say that they're spiritual and not religious. But here's the thing. We who may be religious, sometimes we mishear what's being told. Sometimes when we hear someone say, I'm spiritual but not religious, we might hear this as a dismissal or some form of disrespect to religion. We may misunderstand or not fully get the sentiment or the depth of what's being said. So take a moment and see if you can open your ears, open your hearts to hear this phrase in a new way. Those who say to us, and it's very possible that some folks here would maybe express their own faith in this way. When people say they're spiritual but not religious, I've come to believe, because I put a lot of work into figuring this one out, I've come to believe that what they're actually saying is a statement of profound humility. They realize and believe that the world is a whole lot bigger than what might be immediately apparent. What they may be able to touch or see or smell, there's something bigger than that. There is, in fact, something greater than themselves, something spiritual. And so they open their hearts, they open their lives, even their prayer life, to something greater than themselves that they struggle to understand or define. And here's the beautiful part of those, everyone who I've encountered who authentically say and pursue deep spirituality, they all come to learn compassion. They all come to understand that as they grow in their spirituality, they realize how deeply connected they are with other people. The moment you get in touch with whatever it is that's greater than yourself, you begin to realize we're all in this together. You begin to learn a new type of empathy, a new type of compassion, a new type of connection, a joyful connection that you have with everyone else, and even with the created world around us. Those who are deeply spiritual are almost always deeply compassionate and empathetic. And so what I would propose to you, what I would propose to all of us, is that there's something about this that can both comfort and challenge us, because it's the same compassion, it's the same empathy, it's the same deep spirituality that Jesus is challenging his world to understand as well. He was talking in this gospel to the religious leaders of his day. And he wanted them to understand that religion ought not just be about institutions and rules and rigidity and structure, but rather religion ought to be a deeply compassionate, empathetic, open and welcoming community of people who are dedicated to the values that he outlined in those three separate stories. The first one, leaving the 99 sheep to go look for the one that's lost. The second one, a woman who turns over everything in her home looking for a lost coin. And in both instances, Jesus says, heaven will rejoice more happily over the one that is lost and found than those who didn't need to be found. And then finally, as if to make the point, the most beautiful, the longest, and the most profound parable that Jesus tells in all the gospel, the prodigal son. And I want to ask you to consider, where would you find yourself in these stories? Where would you find yourself on a spectrum of spiritual and religious? Because I know there are some people here who that's the best expression of their faith. I know there are some people here who maybe in this moment in their life, this moment in their journey with God, maybe they feel feel a little lost, or maybe you feel a lot lost. But I guarantee you know someone who feels that way. And so if you feel, or you're struggling with a sense of, I'm not sure where I am, I'm not sure about the whole religion thing, I'm not sure about the whole whatever, I'm not sure about God, I feel stuck, or something isn't quite right, I want to ask you to hear yet again the profound empathy and compassion of Jesus, who wants to tell stories that comforts you because he sees in you the greatest desire, the greatest joy, and the greatest goal of our religious life. Those who reach out to those who feel stuck, broken, lost, or confused. Jesus will never be cruel or harsh, condescending, or condemning. He longs and has a special place in his heart for those who struggle. Likewise, maybe you are not one of those who are struggling in this moment. Maybe you are deeply religious, and your religious life is something that brings you great joy and great meaning and purpose in life. You now are challenged to be the one who goes out looking for those who are struggling, caring for those who are troubled or confused. Now, those who are religious must open our hearts to learn from those who are deeply spiritual, to embrace the value of their compassion, their empathy, and put it into practice. We have to try to take on the attitude of the father and the prodigal son. The one who is constantly rejoicing, the one who is constantly looking out for someone coming back. Now let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever seen an old man run? No. A couple of the older fellows here are chuckling. It's not a really graceful thing. But that's how God wants us to understand him, at least in this parable. As an elderly father looking out for anyone who is willing to come back, and then running to them with compassion, running to them with joy, running to them with open arms, almost ignoring and dismissing the younger son's plea, I've sinned. Yeah, I know, it doesn't matter. Come on, give me a hug. I want to show you mercy. I don't deserve to be your son. Yes, you do, because I love you. Here, let's throw a party. We who are religious have to let this story challenge us, make us uncomfortable, compel us, and inspire us to reach out to those who are struggling. And if you are struggling, if you do have some spirituality, but you're not sure about religion, because let's be honest, it's hard to be Catholic today. It's okay. You will find with God, and you will find in this community, a welcome of compassion and empathy. You will find, I'm not going to go running at anybody, I don't want to frighten anyone, but you will find the same open arms that that father had in that story. You will find it here. Whatever you need, the Lord wants to give you. In whatever way you can participate, you're welcome. And in whatever way we can support you in your faith, your struggle, that's why we're here. At the very least, know